Flex on.
Okay.
All right. Action. All right. Welcome to Words of Wisdom.
Wow.
Design 1.
Right, mine.
And we're going to jump right on into it.
All right.
We ain't going to slough or nutter. A nutter. Why did I say a nutter?
I don't really know.
So, my first story is about a man getting shot. He was going to go pick up his son from his baby mama, and his baby mama was at her boyfriend's house. So she told him 3:15 when he gets there, his son is not there. Then she tells him, "Oh, I should have called you back and said 6 o'clock." Yeah. So he was like, "Why I gotta wait till 6 o'clock? He was supposed to be here at 3:15." He turns around. The boyfriend is like, "Get off my property." And he's like, "Fuck that, I need to get my son." And so the boyfriend goes in to the house and grabs a gun. Again, he tells the dude to get off my property. I would have left because I want to see my son again. And so in retrospect, the guy comes out, he tries to grab the gun from the boyfriend, and boyfriend steps 2 steps back and shoots him twice in the chest. So the video just came out yesterday or this morning, and it's all over the internet. So I saw it on Instagram. It was my first time seeing it. Then I seen some other people post it on YouTube. But that is a situation that we can avoid. Fathers that are trying to see their children. You know what I mean? That's a very sensitive situation that could be handled a different way. I wouldn't have got that mad where, I would have went up against the gun, but you know what I'm saying, without me having a gun, you know what I mean? So all I can say is there's better ways to handle that. Don't put yourself in a situation to where people are going to get hurt over your children, and you won't see your children, or the other parent won't see their children ever again. You know what I mean? So best thing to do, set up your parental rights, and set a specific time and place to meet up at, so you don't have to deal with the extra. You know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on that?
Wow. I didn't see the article about it, but just hearing what you're saying, that hits home because, if you're not a married couple and you have a child, that child is considered a ward of the state, specifically in Washington state where we are. And so in order for you to have true rights, you need to have a parenting plan. If you do not have a parenting plan, then whichever parent has the child has actual custody of the child. And so if you were to come and get the child and that parent says no, there's nothing you can legally do about that. You can call the police and they still will not give you custody if you do not have an actual parenting plan or residential schedule in place. So when I consider what you're saying, I say, yes, there are ways to avoid that. And just briefly, it brings to mind a similar article that I read where a pregnant woman was in her vehicle, I believe it was a van, and there was a motorcyclist in front of her. She intentionally hit that motorcyclist, and a witness saw. Now, from the article that I read, it didn't say whether that motorcyclist got in the witness's vehicle or was able to drive their motorcycle, but what they did do was follow the lady that hit the motorcyclist. And so she decided to hop on the freeway and start heading home. She went home and she walked into her house. Now, I'm assuming that the motorcyclist and the victim was probably just trying to assist and get insurance information. That would be normal in a situation of an accident, even if it was intentional. But this woman went inside her home, grabbed a gun, came out and brandished it as though she was going to shoot him. Now, if she had intentions or was trying to or not, it didn't matter. The motorcyclist then, he had a concealed weapons permit and a right to carry. He had his gun. He shot multiple times and killed the woman. And come to find out, that woman was pregnant. And there will be no charges pressed against him. So I don't know what her motivation was, but I think that could have been avoided as well. And it's a slightly different because that's a road rage incident. But even in that, it just seems like in these days and times, we have gone to a point of just being so frustrated and not being able to have good stress coping skills. And we need to figure out ways to be able to manage those things. So thank you for sharing that story. I would have to pose the idea that if you were in a scenario like that, either being in a domestic situation such as a parental situation, or even just a road rage incident, how would you handle that situation?
Man, the road rage situation, I think everybody's been in it. If you're a driver, you've been in road rage situations, and the best, that's a hard one. Maybe the driver could have just pulled up and got her license plates at least, you know what I mean, and then just kept it pushing. That's what I would have did. That's what I would have did. And all it would go push go to shove. Once he gets the information, calls the police, whatever, then let the police handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, he didn't have to get out the car. He could have they could have got the license plate and left it alone because the information is right there. You know what I'm saying? And maybe maybe that person he's like, I need to get this insurance because this is just wrong. You know what I mean?
It was in the state of California. He was on a motorcycle and he was hit and he fell off his bike.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure his motivation was something, but at the end of the day, she was pregnant. Maybe she was scared, but I'm not going to make excuses for that. Because she could have easily stayed in her vehicle, maybe even contacted the police, asked them to show up so she felt more safe with exchanging information. We don't really know this.
That's what they're supposed to do anyway. To me, that story sounds like she knew that dude.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
It did say intentionally.
Yeah. So
right.
You don't just run over somebody like that.
I believe she leaves behind 11-year-old girl and boyfriend or husband. So my hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to that situation as well as the situation with your people as well. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah. So do you have another?
Yes, I do. I have a story. Actually, it's not really a story. It's just an announcement for people to be aware about. So Dollar Tree, if you're familiar with the Family Dollar and Dollar Tree, is going to raise its price from $1 to $1.25. This hike has been for several different reasons. It's going to start in the first quarter of 2022. So that's between January and March of next year. They're saying it's due to rising inflation and that it's not because of short-term transitory market conditions. So basically they're saying it's not because of the pandemic, but because they see that inflation, they want to be able to offer more selection pieces. So they're looking at offering things from $1.25. So there'll be some items that'll be $3 to $5 as well. So realistically, you shouldn't even be able to call it the Dollar Tree or the Family Dollar because it's going to be Family Dollars and a few dollars for the tree. And so what really got to me was they said they stopped selling customer favorites and they wanted to expand their selection and increase profit margins. So that's what really I keyed in on, because realistically that there's always truth in the lie. And so what they're realistically trying to do is increase their profit margins. There's probably been an upcharge with regard to transportation. Transporting these products, all over to the different
supply
stores.
and demand stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so in 2019, I saw a CNN article that was talking about these dollar stores really stifle the competition for local grocery stores. Basically, what they do is they create a lot of different dollar stores in a clustered area, and it really prevents stores wanting to set up shop that sell actual produce, and the dollar store and Family Dollar do not sell produce, and so it really discourages supermarkets, and so they don't offer fresh produce. And I think that I also was reading in that particular article that to try to combat the dollar store's predatory nature, certain states are actually having policymakers that limit how many Dollar Trees can be there, what areas they can be in, and how many that cluster. So the idea of why it's predatory is because you're getting something for $1, and that might seem cheap and good for your budget, but is it healthy for you? And that's the thing we got to consider when we consider the Dollar Tree. And so, like, you might go to, like, your local supermarket and see something as simple as a pitcher that you would use for your Kool-Aid or juice or whatever you want to make your beverage. And you go to the dollar store and you think you're getting the same actual pitcher for much cheaper. What you will find is that the things that you purchase from the dollar store have a high redundancy rate. Redundancy rate means the many times that you have to go back and repurchase that item because it's made with shoddy materials. It's made for you to be able to continuously buy that product. So the question that I want to pose on the Dollar Tree is, do you shop at the Dollar Tree or the Family Dollar General? And do you think that it's a good deal? Why do you do it? Also, the flip side to that is, do you think that it's predatory? Do you think that it helps families or not?
Well, me knowing people that work at the Dollar Tree, and most of the time when you do buy stuff at the Dollar Tree, it ain't gonna last that long. Especially like the little toys, stuff like that. You take your kids there and be like, hey, you can get anything you want in here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's $1. You know what I'm saying? And the toy ain't gonna last that long, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? Some of the deals is candles are cool. You know what I mean? That's a good deal. We have power outages during this time of the year, a lot because of the windstorms or whatever. But it's cool to have those candles. And sometimes you just need a cheap candle. It ain't got to be scented, but you got a candle there that you can, light just in case your power goes out.
Good point.
There's certain things that is good, and then there's something that ain't good. So you got to really recognize what you're buying from there and the quality of whatever you do buy from there. I do. There's only a certain thing. I might buy some paper plates. Those pans you need to doing a big dinner at the house, and you need the aluminum pan to put the food in. You know what I'm saying? Those are on point because they're disposable. Aluminum, you can throw in the recycle when it's done. You
the
know
Tupperware.
The Tupperware.
Because you could let that go to the, when people be like, let me get a little container.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get that little dollar store container, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little candies.
Yeah, the candy and stuff like that. That's cool. Mm-hmm. But, you got to really recognize what's going on and why they are been so successful. And then I haven't been to like at a Dollar Tree or a Family Dollar down south, but I know there's food deserts out there. And that's the first place people go to go get food sometimes. You know what I'm saying? They might not have the money to go to the big store. So they'll go to the Dollar Tree, get their top ramen, get they they even got hot dogs, everything in there. They got steaks in there.
They got ground beef. It's really fascinating how they have that for $1, but you gotta ask yourself, what's the quality?
Yeah, that's the number one thing. What's the quality in the food, and then the preservatives and all the extra additives to make sure it stays. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Wow. So. Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm really glad to hear what you say. And I would like to hear what you guys say in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment in the bottoms. And go ahead and share it with your friends.
And also, we want to go live. So let us know in the comments or contact us directly. Hey, we want to go live. We want to participate in the live chat. So
yeah, I'm thinking we need a certain amount of subscribers. So we can encourage, like, let's get a certain amount of subscribers. We're going to undisclose that. We're going to disclose that number after we get into the lab and count. But definitely go ahead and like and subscribe. And the more subscribers, the more it will encourage us that you like our content and that maybe we need to go ahead and go live. So thank you so much for your time. Do you have another story for us?
Yes, I do. This time it's, for some odd reason, the high school racism thing keeps popping up for me on.
Are there
on
more Schmecks toys?
No, not this time.
Okay.
Not no Schmecks. Really that was crazy last time. But this time it is about racism at a girls' basketball game in Tennessee. So, 2 players, it was a foul. The referee calls a technical on 2 players. It's a girls' basketball game, and the school, it was Smyrna High School versus STEM Prep. So, the one girl or whatever what happened, it was a technical foul called. So, when they called a technical foul, I think the player was talking to the referee or the referee was talking to the player, and the referee, which was a white referee, called the player, which is a sister, a nigga.
The ER or the?
No, the ER. So
Here we go again.
the team all walked off the court. The girl went and told her mom, "Hey, he just called me a nigger." Her mom was in the bleachers, just called me a nigger, and they said, it went from there. It escalated. So the whole team, the ref ejected her because she retaliated and said, "Why'd you call me that?" And he ejected her from. So the whole team just walked off the court. I got the information from TYT Sports, and
You'll put the links in the description.
yeah, I'll
correct?
put the link in the description.
We'll put the links in the description for all of these stories.
Yeah. So to me, you can't say that. You just can't. You got to set the example. The TSSA is investigating the incident, and they have suspended that ref.
Who's the TSSA?
It's the Tennessee Sports. What is it called? Association, and they're investigating it. So it's just hard. It's pitting the student versus the referee, and the referee the referee. He's the adult in the whole situation. He has to be more accountable. You know what I mean? I've refs games. I've coached basketball. If my student would have said something like that to another player, we usually take them players out of the game. You know what I mean? I played basketball, high school basketball too, and if a coach would have heard me say something like that, he would have took me out the game.
Isn't
Period.
that unsportsmanlike?
Yeah, it's
conduct?
very but if a ref says it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really you're not even supposed to cuss while you're playing in the game anyway. Unless it's sometimes there's circumstances you might get hurt or something like that, then you might bob out something. You know what I mean? But I can't see a ref saying that to a player without there being some type of repercussions. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to even, I've never heard a ref say that. You know what I mean? And I was a ref as well when I was younger. You know what I mean? When I was coaching, sometimes coaches had to become another team. 2 teams might be playing. They'll ask another coach from another team to ref because the ref ain't show up. You know, so you have to be accountable and set the example for the children or the young adults to be sportsmanlike and just set an example. Live by your words and a code of conduct. And it's like he forgot it. You know what I'm saying? He's just like it was a street ball game, and it didn't even matter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
complete total lack of respect.
Yeah.
Wow. So I would like to hear what you guys have to say about that in the comments. Have you ever experienced, do you play sports? Have you ever experienced any kind of racism or situations in which you felt excluded? That's really important. There should be a level of respect across the board. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
And you said that was where?
In Tennessee.
Wow.
Smyrna, Tennessee, right
Smyrna?
outside of Nashville. Yeah.
I like Smyrna figs, though. Sidebar. Anyway, moving forward. This isn't about me. This was about the story. Thank you.
Yeah.
Share your comments and thoughts and like and subscribe. All to do all of the things. Do all of the things. All right, so I've got a story. I guess we're getting real serious about things. Okay. So Andrew Coffey, the fourth, was found not guilty by self-defense. If you're not familiar with him, in 2017, he was ambushed by the Sheriff's Department, Indian River County Sheriff's Department. They supposedly announced that they were police officers, and they came in a blazing. He thought he was being robbed, and so he decided to brandish his gun and start shooting. They shot back multiple times and ended up killing his girlfriend of 21 years old, Alteria Woods, and basically she was shot at least 10 times and killed. She succumbed to her injuries. And so basically what happens in these situations is the officers, although they're the ones that pulled the gun, they shot the bullets, and the bullets that they shot were the ones that killed her. They were actually the ones that were exonerated by a Superior Court judge on the murder. So the murder had to be pinned on someone, and since the law enforcement was saying because of his wrongdoings, because of them needing to come there under a warrant, because he was suspected of having drugs in the house or being a drug user or drug seller or whatever, he was doing illegal things, or so they said, allegedly, that it was his wrongdoings that caused his girlfriend to get killed, and so he should be held accountable and responsible for that. So he was found now guilty on all the counts of murder. However, because he had a gun and he was a convicted felon, he is still possibly going to face up to 30 years in prison for that infraction.
Ouch.
That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts because regardless of what they were coming there to do, a young woman lost her life. She lost her life, and he was doing what he needed to do to protect her. And as a result, because he didn't do it with a knife, who brings a knife to a gunfight?
Damn.
For real, though. So, I mean, I'm grateful that he was found not guilty on the counts of murder of his own girlfriend, whom he did not shoot or kill. But facing 30 years for just owning the gun, it's like if they don't get you one way, they get you another way.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to pose this quick question to you for you to think. Please comment in the chat. How do you feel about our penal system and how we judge things? Do you think that that's fair that his girlfriend was killed, and because he had a gun and he was defending her, that he should be put in prison potentially for 30 years of his life? I want to know what you think about that. What do you think?
That's a hard one, because who owned the gun? And if he was just visiting her, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that could have been her gun.
We don't know. It didn't say that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of leeway here. He could have been just visiting her. And she probably was like, oh, here's my gun. Da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? And people, they don't know if it was his gun, but it's just what it is. Most of the time, convicted felons, they can't have guns. They're not allowed to have where they live at, they can't have a gun or
guns. They can't vote. They can't do a whole lot.
Well,
of things.
Some can vote now. There's
really?
Certain states have changed it
to
where
they can vote.
They can vote after.
They can't leave the country.
No,
they still can't
if you leave the country, don't come back. You know. So if you leave the country, don't come back. You feel me? Right. So set yourself up right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and there's certain, you can't drink. Sometimes there's stipulations they can't drink. Some can't smoke weed. Yeah, and then they get P tested and all that kind of stuff. Every it depends on the situation that the court applies to
for
that person.
For their restrictions.
Right.
So we want to hear what you think about that. Did you have another story? I got a couple, but
yeah, I got another story.
Let me hear about it, bruh.
Well, this is an international story pertaining to between a couple of different countries: Taiwan, China, Russia, Australia, well, it really is. It's China and Russia are flexing a little bit on other parts of the world. Russia is building up their military, hopefully not to push towards to go take over something, and then China is also doing the same thing, but they're flexing their muscle as doing flyovers. They tested a hypersonic missile earlier this week, and a lot of people are worried, but I wouldn't worry about that type of thing because we've already had that type of technology here in the United States. You know what I mean? That's just, they're catching up. Literally, China's catching up on the military side of the game. So people are over here, oh, what are we going to do? They got a hypersonic. No, we've been doing hypersonic since the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So people are just now catching up, thinking that we're behind. In actuality, we're ahead. We just, we don't show all our cards. You know what I'm saying? So they're showing their cards. Oh, we got this. But that's directed towards over there in Asia, where you got Taiwan, you got Japan, you got Philippines, you got all these small little countries, Laos, Vietnam, but Taiwan is predominantly the issue because they think they want that to be a part of China. But on the other hand, we have lots of dealings with China and Taiwan economically. So that's the part that we gotta, hopefully our government handles correctly, because it's gonna be some Cold War stuff starting off here soon, which if you gotta look back on how we had the Cold War with Russia.
Was there an article on this?
Oh, there's lots of articles.
Okay, well, make sure you put that in the description, because I'm curious as to what you guys think. I don't feel as though it's about being fear of China catching up to our technology, because at the end of the day, if you really want to look at China and some of these Asian countries, they're more advanced. They got super bullet trains that could get you across their nation in like minutes. Like, let's quit playing. No. Let's quit playing. That's us being egocentrical about nationalistic, thinking that we really are on top. And I'm not about to downbrow what we can do here. What the fear should be is who's the hungriest.
Yeah.
It's the person who wants it the most that loses in a deal. So if they're hungry, they're going to be far more willing to kamikaze, like you say with the Russians.
To be those Japanese or the kamikaze,
whoever, the ones that the other ones that go and blow themselves up.
Yeah.
The martyrs.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things.
Yeah,
so
who's willing to sacrifice what?
That's a fascinating one. We'll see how that develops. Mm-hmm. And thank you for sharing that. I can't wait to hear your continued thoughts, because this isn't an overnight story. This is a continuing story. It's basically a live read. Yeah. So I'm gonna quickly go into the verdict for the Ahmaud Arbery case. This was a 25-year-old man. We'll have the description from NPR on there. Basically, 3 white men were found guilty on murder of all 9 accounts. And one of them was just 9 accounts. The other 2 had 10 counts of different portions of murder and all of the things charges that were brought against them. Basically, young Mr. Arbery was jogging through a Georgia neighborhood on February 23rd, 2020, where he was mercilessly trucked down by 2 vehicles. Okay? These guys had no mercy. They ran him down and then murdered him with a shotgun. He tried to struggle for his life. Okay. Now, if you saw any bits and pieces of the trial, you would find that it was extremely laughable. I was very concerned about the verdict. And if you saw last week's show, we were talking about Kyle Rittenhouse, right? And how he got off not guilty by reason of self-defense. This young man died. Okay. So now, briefly just getting into it, it took 10 weeks for their police to be able to even make an arrest. All right. And they made their arrest only because it became national information when the actual footage came out and went viral. Right. And so Just to give you a brief understanding about little bits and pieces of the trial that I saw, they were doing the defense attorneys were doing a whole bunch of mistrials. They were basically saying things like, yo, let's have a mistrial because Al Sharpton is here. Let's have a mistrial because Jesse Jackson is here. And how many black pastors do they need?
Yeah. That was just wrong.
Let's have another mistrial because Black Lives Matter is outside on the steps, and we can't handle that. It's causing the jury to be affected by it.
Yeah, that attorney was
right, but they made the right choice. Right, they made the right choice. They did find them guilty because that was just pure cold-blooded murder, and they were happy to do it. Right. So my question I'm going to pose to you and to the audience out here is, do you feel like that verdict was done correctly? Also, how do you feel about the whole situation itself? Do you know any situations of racism and where justice wasn't brought correctly or justice was served? And what do you think about our system? Do you think it's fully corrupt? I mean, these are a lot of things. Like, share your thoughts on that. Feel free to be honest. This is a safe space. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. What do you think?
The verdict was correct. Now we got to go to the sentencing. Let's see what the sentencing says.
They might the prosecutors are going for life in prison. Without the possibility of parole. Yeah. So that we'll have to wait and see. And as that story develops, we'll let you know. Yep. All right. What you got?
Right. That's it.
Really? No, I got one more.
You got one more?
I got one more.
I was about to put the hat on.
Go ahead and put the blue condom on.
I gotta put my do-rag on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, keep my waves tight.
Hood red shit with your friends. All right. So, I'm gonna need... This was out here... We're gonna do the best we can with this story, okay? I was really debating on even talking about this. Oh, no. We're going to talk about the Waukesha victims. Waukesha. You know there's a song called Waukesha, right?
I know.
Share it with your friends. All right. So let's not laugh. But this is
I'm not trying to laugh, but it's like...
This is a very serious story. Okay, Father, forgive us for we know not what we do. All right. So, okay. Just recently over in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Waukesha.
They had a Thanksgiving parade before Christmas and Thanksgiving. And a man, we will not name his name, who had just got let out on bail earlier this month.
Last weekend.
A couple days ago. For running over his baby's mama. Right. He did not have enough of his thirst for lust of violence quenched. And so this man committed yet another domestic violence event. Now, he was let out for $1,000 bail, right? Okay, so then he decided he was going to go out and he was trying to do hood rat shit with his friends. Now, so he decided all by his lonesome to commit some acts of violence. I think some people said he stabbed somebody and was fleeing the scene. Yeah. And then he decided to jump the barricade. He went down the parade and the dancing grannies went flying. And we were one for the dancing grannies. You know,
it's just wrong.
It's wrong. It's wrong. But you know what? 6 people died. There was an 8-year-old boy that died recently. There was 2 52-year-olds, a 71-year-old, a 79, and an 81. And you know, these grandmas were extremely passionate, as some of the articles said. One was that was her first debut. Like, it was her first time getting out there. And if you see the video, like, there's some video, not where they get ran over, right? But where they're just doing their thing.
Doing their dance.
Doing a little dance.
Do your dance.
Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Okay. But... He's now on a $5 million bill, so probably no possibility of getting out. And they gonna cook this brother. Yeah. Because the reason why I say it like that is because when I first saw it, the first 10 minutes of it, they didn't plaster the name. They said a person of interest, right? Yeah. So I said, oh, this ain't us.
I'm gonna tell you like this. I thought it was a retaliation for the Rittenhour thing. That's what I thought it was. But it was totally something different.
Something entirely different. So we you know. These were the Milwaukee dancing grannies. Our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go out to them and the family that's affected. And, you know, what are your thoughts? I mean, they lived long lives. They really did. They did. And I think that we should cherish them and we should, we're gonna move on from that. But I just want to thank you for your time. And your question is, do you think that was fair?
Okay.
Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Wow. I'm Design One.
I'm Right Mind. Coming at you again. Tune in to another Saturday where we'll be doing this all over again. New stories for you, fresh each and every week. And y'all seen me all different ways, right? So now I got my little C Hosby because we coming from C-Town, right? But then I got this new song that I need you guys to get ready for, right? It's coming out.
Don't reveal it. You can't reveal it yet.
I got to.
Don't somebody will steal it. No. Not yet. But do you want to reveal?
Oh, my trolley?
Yeah.
We good.
We good.
Wow. Thank you.